Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. Tisha here, back with another review of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 16, episode 11. Let's be honest. And I'm going to be honest by stating that although I like Shamia at times, she is going down badly. Watching a 40 something beg another 40 something year old for friendship is sad to see. And it's clear that Portia's just not that into you. I want to start off by reading a message that Portia posted and deleted in regards to Shamia that kind of has her being guilty of the very thing that she's accusing Shamia of, which is rather than addressing your issues with each other, you're bringing them to other people and to the internet. So she says, I'm watching a new episode, Shamia. Don't take it there. Don't imply ish about Diane Williams. I've been keeping it quiet. Oh, cute. I've been keeping it cute slash quiet, and you can do and say what you want to me, but hear me when I say wrong road. So her mother is allowed to speak negatively about Shamia, but Shamia cannot answer, apparently, production's questions about the issue or what's transpired between their mothers. Got it. She says, knowing God damn well what she did to my mom was highly egregious. Don't do it. Keep playing victim and that BS. Don't F with my mom. Well, meet the mirror at some point, Portia, and realize that you do the very thing that you're accusing her of. All Shamia said was that your moms were friends, that they fell out. And then she repeated what you told her that your mother said about her. Make it make sense. Shamia, please understand that Portia is not your friend. She is her mother's daughter. And this episode is a perfect example of why the both of you need to sever ties. To see you interview after interview at this point, still crying about Portia when she can come on the internet and give you scraps is amazing to me. Even the birthday post, you were so excited about her posting, out of all things, a picture with you, her, and I believe it was Cynthia. Somebody else was in the picture saying happy birthday. With all the many years of friendship that you had, you get that basic post from somebody who at one point was your best friend. And I'm not saying that it's about social media, it's about the fact that she puts forth no effort. But let me go ahead and get into the actual episode. So I'm going to kind of break this up a little bit from person to person. We're going to start with Angela. Angela and Charles go to lunch, and he embarrasses her on this camera yet again. It is clear that he is not into filming, and at times it seems to me like he's not into her. We are reminded by Angela that Charles is a retired pension earning NBA player, that he owns multiple businesses, that he is currently a coach for Bug 3 basketball league, and he's been a coach since 2007 with that league. Angela and Charles are sitting together in confessional as she tells us yet again that their love language is them going back and forth. And as she's saying this, Charles is looking at her like she's crazy and he disagrees. Understand, Charles is not going to put on a show for the purposes of this show. Charles is being Charles. So while they're out at lunch, she asks him for a kiss and he's looking at her like, he kisses her, but he wants to know why she wanted a kiss. He's like I said, he's not going to put on a show. He's asked by production if he loves Angela, and he doesn't answer the question. He actually ends up saying, next question, why do you enjoy embarrassing your wife like this? I understand that some things may seem dumb, but for the sake of this, act like an active, willing participant. So the subject of family comes up after all this time. It's been 6 weeks since Angela found out about her sister and her daughter getting into it. And she now is ready to have a conversation with her sister about it. Angela feels like it's gone too far, especially because you did all of this under the roof that I provided for you. Understand that that statement alone is probably the exact reason why her mother lets her know later on in the show that they're going to be moving into their own home. I don't think it's because she really wanted to be financially responsible. I think it's because for the amount of time that she's been in that home, it's probably been thrown at her time and time again, held over her head, that I bought you this almost $500,000 home. I got you that car. I did this. I did that. I did this. Even her daughter, when she wanted to borrow the car that was given to her grandmother, for whatever reason, you had to point out that your mother got the car. Like, why did you even need to borrow the car in the first place? I think there's so much more to it than just, I wanted to be responsible for myself. So Angela feels like her sister doesn't appreciate what she's done, how she set them up for success. Charles tells her, at some point, you have to stop giving and draw the line and keep walking. I actually do agree with that statement. This is a problem that I sometimes have when it comes to my dad. I love my dad, but I sometimes feel like different family members take advantage of his kindness. Now, he will continue to be blessed because of how giving he is, but at what point do real people realize that you need to stop taking and taking and taking and having expectations of someone always giving to you, and you're not doing your part to elevate yourselves or to make more responsible choices in life? So I got what Charles was saying when he was like you got to draw a line and cut people off. Because Charles said, look, my family been worse than what Tyler Perry puts out on TV, and I've cut certain members of my family off. And I think he's given Angela good advice and saying, like, put yourself first. Don't worry about your family members. They're gonna have to figure it out for themselves. So she plans on having a date with her mom to address some of the issues, because she says they've always been close and she feels like she needs to do this. So her mom ends up coming over. Rest in peace to her mother. From my understanding online, she put something up saying that she wishes that, we could have seen other sides of her mom, but unfortunately her mother has passed. So rest in peace to her mom. But her mom comes over and she lets Angela know that she appreciates what she's done, but she has the keys to her own home now and they're about to move in. She tells Angela, with us moving out, you can focus on your other businesses, meaning your other houses, and not have to worry about us. Angela then brings up her sister and how her mother didn't have her daughter's back when her sister got into her daughter's face. And for her, it brought back memories of how the mom did the same thing when she was younger. Now, we don't see her say that part of it to her mom. We see her saying that in the car on the phone with her mother at another time. Her mom says that when the whole situation happened between her granddaughter and her daughter, she didn't know what to say. She was in shock. She says that, she just didn't know what to do. Angela lets it go, but you can tell it's an issue because it's something that has apparently happened even when they were kids, because that's what she says when she's on the phone with her mother. They then talk about this whole Charles thing. I don't care about her mother and Charles getting into it over him talking about Angela not knowing how to clean properly, supposedly, and how 3 years later they still haven't spoken with each other. So she says she's going to write a letter to her son-in-law that she loves, that's almost the same age as her. They laugh about it, they hug, they say they love each other. There's really no resolve there. So I don't understand what the point in this was. I didn't see where her mother was like, I'm going to try to arrange it for the two of you to talk with each other or anything like that. And if we're being honest, there's only so much her mother can do when you're dealing with grown adults. I remember having a conversation in the past with my son's grandmother about some things that were going on, and she advised me on some stuff. And she told me, she would speak with my son's father in regards to some things. And I just told her, like, there was no point. Because when you're dealing with grown adults, the decision to bring in a third party who sometimes will have a hard time not picking sides is just no point. Now, if you decide that you want to talk to your sister and you want to bring in a mediator of some sort, or if you want to bring in a professional like a psychologist or a therapist or a life coach or whatever, someone along that line, maybe then that would be a good idea. But I don't see what her mother in this instance can do when she's dealing with two grown adults who help her in various ways. Because it may be a thing, yes, Angela, you did all this stuff for me financially, but your sister is actually living here and with me, and she's helping me with other things that you yourself can't help me with. You just don't know. But that was the end of that scene. So we see Cynthia and Shamia meet up at a restaurant. Shamia is struggling because she is to the point where this thing with Portia is really bothering her. She talks about how she couldn't even really sleep after the party, that before she even attended Portia's pamper event, that she felt off, that she had texted her mom about feeling sad, and she asked her mother to pray over her. She tells us that she was blindsided, that she never expected these ladies to put her friendship with Portia on the line. Here is the thing: the ladies did not put Shamia's friendship with Portia on the line. She did. I do not agree with the way that Portia is handling this, but I don't agree with the way that Shamia is handling it either. Because if Shamia never opened her mouth and said anything to the new girls, to Angela, to Kelly, to Britt, then they would have nothing to go back and tell Portia. So you sitting here acting like this came out of nowhere, when it isn't just the fact that these ladies have watched the show and come to some conclusions on things. It's that they've seen things for themselves. They've said things to you, and you in turn responded. Shamia doesn't like that Portia questioned her in front of the girls, but Shamia, you participated in the exercise. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you did not participate in the exercise, which is why Kelly came over to you, which created a little bit of a scene because people saw that. Then, when it's time to talk and they start bringing up things, you in that moment could have said, I think this is something that Portia and I should talk about on our own. Instead, you didn't pull her to the side. You just kept going. So you can't sit there and act like you didn't play a part in this rolling out in front of all the ladies. So she thought that if Portia heard some things, that she would discuss it with her. Shamia feels like what she said got brought back to Portia the wrong way. And Cynthia's looking like, well, what way is it wrong? She says the ladies were the ones saying that Portia isn't my friend, that Portia doesn't support me. Um, that is true. They did say that, but Shamia, you kind of alluded to there being some truth to that, especially with you having a problem with, the things that she said in regards to your music. And it thinking that it was Drew. So Cynthia and Shamia are having this moment where they're relating to each other because the both of them have unhealthy friendships. Cynthia used to have an unhealthy one with Nene, and Shamia, in my opinion, currently has an unhealthy one with Portia. Cynthia says she understands where she's coming from. She can relate because it was the same thing with her and other castmates or other friends, that it's hard to go from speaking all the time with one another to not speaking. I think that their situations differ a little bit because in that situation, I don't recall Cynthia really saying negative things about Nene. I think Nene always said a lot of mean things, not just to Cynthia, but calling her husband a bee and saying he, wants a peach and all those other things. Like this, it was more so, in my opinion, Nene saying things than Cynthia. But then again, Cynthia, she was so wishy-washy sometimes you didn't know where she was going with things. Anyways, so Shamia says there are other components like what she told me about her mom that's caused some issues. So she's like, what did she say? So she said Portia shared that her mom does not know how to accept me because of the history with her mom and my mom. She's always making comments like, don't trust Shamia because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We find out that their mothers were friends. Their mothers met. Well, did their mothers meet in middle school? No. Their mothers were friends when they were like middle school age. So they met in middle school. At some point, their moms fell out. Production wants to know what happened. Shamia's like, I'm not getting into all that. Cynthia says all friendships have issues, but the two of you all seem so happy. Like you guys seem like you have a great time together. It's a yin and a yang thing. I think that's the problem. I think that what Shamia and Portia have given over the years is surface level, because two friends that really have a deep relationship with one another would have been able to address some of these issues and have the hard talks and not have it fester and build up to what it's become. Um, Cynthia then says, I like to have a Portia and Shamia friendship. Cynthia, stop it. No one wants a friend that they cannot be honest with that is dysfunctional. So we see that even though Portia made the comments about sleeping with her man, that Angela is joining Portia and Cynthia for bowling. They have a good time. Angela wants bumpers, and Cynthia's focused on Portia's bumper. Like the entire time, she's making references to Cynthia's butt, like you don't have a derriere yourself there, Cynthia. You done got thick over the years. Looks good on you. I'm just saying. So they bowl. After they're bowling, the subject of PJ and the divorce comes up. Portia says that she thought that it was just the divorce that was affecting PJ, but because every time she's leaving, she's like, Mommy, where are you going? How long are you going to be? Things of that nature. And she thought about it, and it's also the fact that she's gone back to work. So she talks about how PJ is still missing Simon, that she got in the bed, and she's like, Where's Papa? And Portia keeps lying to the child saying he's at work. So she said she texted him again saying, I guess PJ misses you, and he didn't respond. He left them on red again, and she feels like he wakes up every day thinking of a new way to wreck her life. Here's the thing. It was all fun and games when he was figuring out ways to wreck Fallon's life, but now that is you, it's a problem. This man showed you who he was from the very beginning. I need Portia at this point to tell your daughter the truth. Let her know that you and Simon are no longer together, because to keep lying and saying that he's at work, you're just going to make it harder on her, because she's looking for this man to come back or for you all to go back to him, and it's not happening. So she says again that they had a real family, and it's just amazing to me how much they're so concerned about what's going on with Portia and how they're checking in on Portia, but we don't see that happen with Drew. She's talking about, how fragile she is right now. And even when it comes to Shamia, like, I wanted my event to be a celebration, a place where we celebrated all the women and we could come together. But I don't like the fact that, Shamia is talking like I'm not a loyal friend. You're not. I mean, let's call a thing a thing. You're not. She says at the end of the day, like, Shamia is her friend, so she's gonna have a conversation with her. So let's get Kelly out the way. Kelly, we see her at one point at the restaurant. We see her again out with her daughter. She's teaching her how to drive, in my opinion, in the wrong way. Your child is learning how to drive. All that talking, the camera being on them, is too much of a distraction, especially because there were a couple times where she looked like she was crossing over the line and about to hit vehicles that were parked on the side of the road. If you don't know, not only that, her hand placement was wrong. Like, there's a reason why, especially Kelly, because you got this money, you should utilize driving schools. I know with my son, I taught him how to drive. Like, I taught him how to do everything. The only thing I wasn't willing to do, no, I did get on the interstate with him. I'm lying. I didn't get on there at a busy time. But it came a point where he was ready to take his test. And I was like, let's make sure that you really, really got everything down and you learn the right way. And we're going to pay for you to go to driving school, to have, the person come to the house and you drive. And I'm so happy that I did that, because there were additional things that he was taught, like various safety measures when it comes to an accident and stuff like that. Stuff that you don't always think, like, you have discussions with your kids, but having them go through scenarios where it's actually a car that looks like something is going to happen, and seeing the response and things of that nature. If you can, afford to do that, which she can, she should put her child in driving school, because Kelly and her were a mess. I laughed a little bit at the hollering and hooting, because I know I myself was like, and flinching and breaking on brakes that weren't even on my side of the car. So, it was interesting to see. So they discussed her getting a car. And Kelly's like, I was going to get you a Jeep, but the way you're driving this, I don't think you're going to be able to handle it. And she's like, a Jeep? She wants the BMW. She's even willing to work at a restaurant to have it. Kelly does want her, to work at the restaurant. She thinks it's a good idea. She tells her that when it comes to the new one, she's going to want her input, especially they can start with, the hiring of people. And I thought that was cute, but what experience does Chloe have, that she can, hire some people? Like, are you going to give her some background information so they approach it right? So we go from that to Drew. Drew is still going through it with Ralph. It has been 2 years of them going through this court process, and in my opinion, nothing has been resolved. So she has just left her attorney's office, and she calls her mom to fill her in. Apparently, Drew is at risk of losing her attorney, Tanya. Ralph's attorney and Ralph are trying to get her removed from the case, which, if that does happen, is going to cost Drew additional money because she's going to have to find another attorney and put money into that attorney. He is currently after her business, Drew Sidor LLC, saying that he's the rightful owner. She says she is not supposed to, or was not supposed to, from my understanding of the way that she talked about this, make any financial changes because they're in a process of a divorce. And her lawyer advised her, because of the way things were going, with Ralph not revealing his financials and things of that nature, to create a new company because he has yet to turn over his financials and he's currently after hers. I think that was real dumb of a lawyer. I don't know a lot about that, but I don't think that sounds right. So he wants 40% of both of her businesses. The one that she had before him, that she created in 2005, and the one that she created after him. What are we missing? Why is he after her money, number one, when he supposedly has a lot of his own? Why are they still in this house together? Why is it that he's not being forced to turn over his financials? It's not making sense to me. So Drew and her mother are on the phone. They say that, Drew takes care of the finances when it comes to the kids, that he's not even giving her child support. On top of all of that, she lets her mom know that she was removed from having access to the home through the key punch. So when she got to the house after 1 a.m., she couldn't get in. As a result, she went to a hotel. She says, conveniently got home and was able to get in after he goes through the basement. I don't believe that. I think that he probably called the security company. He's the one whose name seems to be in everything regarding the house, and he changed the code and removed your access from it. Simple as that. It's all too much. Her mom decides to come in and check on her baby and her grandkids. Her mom talks about the damage that this is doing to the kids. And while she's in town, I can't help but notice that Drew is wasting money left and right. Like, girl, you got a chauffeur everywhere you go. You have a chef, the whole driving service thing. That money that you keep putting into the chef and the driving service, to me, you should be putting into getting yourself another place to stay. She says that despite Drew not seeing it, that the kids are changing, that her mom does, that they don't listen, especially to, well, not even to her. And she's never had that problem before. She says that the courts got it wrong when it comes to how they're handling this. They didn't think about how this arrangement affects the kids. And I agree. By this point, it's been 2 years. You all should have had some type of conversation with whoever the judge said that you needed to have one with. I would say the guardian ad litem, but a lot of them are trash. Anyways, have the conversation with whoever is there with the best interest of the kids, some type of counsel that is able to talk about what this situation looks like, because cohabitating is not good in this instance, nor is the way that they're co-parenting in my mind. You're in the house, I'm not in the house, you can't go past this floor, I can't go past. It's just too much. But for whatever reason, Drew feels like Ralph is good at co-parenting, despite everything that he's doing to her. Her mother looks at her like she's crazy when she says that. Her mom says, if Ralph had any compassion for you, then you wouldn't be going through this. If he had compassion for you as a mom, he wouldn't be bashing you and putting you in a bad situation. I think that the both of them need to be quiet and just get divorced. But like Drew said on the after show, at this point with Ralph, it's not that he wants her or he's trying to hold things out. It's just that he wants to win. So Drew tears up when her mother points out that her children aren't the same. For whatever reason, she didn't notice it. And now because Drew is crying, her mom is crying. The chef has stopped cooking because Drew walks off to kind of gather herself, and the chef is comforting Drew's mom. It's a lot. So Drew says the vibes aren't good, that she's working hard to create some normalcy for them, but it's tough. I just wonder if Drew likes to be miserable, because I don't understand, if you're sitting here telling us about the vibes not being good, why you are still in this house. Let him have it. Create an environment for your kids that is healthy, where there isn't all this unnecessary tension. You're creating unnecessary stress in them, which could lead to other things. And I just don't understand how a judge can't see that this isn't healthy. That's my opinion. You guys tell me yours. All right. So the time has come. Shamia is Shamia, why are your butt cheeks out? Like in that section of your, why are I just anyways. So Shamia and Portia meet up over lunch to talk. The energy, in my opinion, is off immediately. It's given surface level. It's given small talk. So Portia asks him Shamia how she's been, and then she gets a call from her mother. It's clear that Shamia is over it already, because did you have to answer the phone at that moment? Could you not have texted your mom and be like, I'm gonna get back to you? Because it's a little rude, especially given that your mother doesn't like me, and when you're getting off the phone, you're talking about your mother making a face, meaning that your mom probably knows that you're with me. Portia's like, what's up? Let's talk. She tells us that Shamia has been telling everyone but me how she feels. Shamia apologizes immediately, basically, for not being open about her feelings over the years. I said over the years. This is so much deeper than what we know. She admits to suppressing things because she often feels like she needs to handle their relationship, their friendship, with care. That's part of her people pleasing issue. Shamia, you really need to work on that. Because the fact that you don't voice your frustration when it comes to Portia out of fear makes me feel like there's work that you need to do on yourself to realize whether Portia gets upset with you or not, you're going to be okay. Tell Portia how you feel. She's not fragile. She's not going to break. She points out that she did not need the ladies to speak up for her. I agree that she didn't need them to, but I think part of her wanted them to. Because why else would you disclose that information to them about your frustrations with Portia? You had to have known it would have gotten back to her. So Shamia brings up instances where she felt like Portia was being dismissive towards her, like her talking over her, and her comments about the music, and some of her petty posts, like the one that I just read at the beginning. And to this, Portia's like, that's the moment that I would have got up. But Shamia does not get up. She continues to beg for this friendship. Shamia says, am I boring you? Portia lies and says, I was just taking a breath. No, you weren't. You were trying to be funny, and you got the right one, because anyone else would have probably gathered Portia in that moment. I know I would have. Portia is dismissive and selfish and rude, and she does not care about this friendship for real. Her actions prove it time and time again that Portia does not know how to be a friend. Remember, she was supposed to be Candy's friend too, and we saw what she did to Candy. She don't know how to be a friend. So Portia feels like, this is uncomfortable. She doesn't get why this is coming up after all this time when they've already addressed it. And it's because you keep on doing things to make things come up. Yeah, she suppressed some of it, but even the stuff that she addresses, you don't really like. I feel like you just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll do better, let's move past it, without really acknowledging the part that you played in it or how what you did was wrong. You just want to move on past it so she can shut up. So Shamia doesn't understand why her talking about her feelings is making her uncomfortable, nor do I. Shamia does not like how quickly Portia believed what Angela said and the lady said, and that she didn't talk to her first. If that was my friend, I would have, the moment, if I were Portia, that Angela told me that, I would have stepped to the side. I would have picked up that phone while I was at Angela's rental and called Shamia. But I think that Shamia and Portia, they just don't, like, they've fallen off a long time ago. Y'all are meant to be friends when it comes to going out and having a good time. Y'all aren't meant to be friends that really confide in one another and things of that nature. I also think that Portia wants a reason to be upset with Shamia. Does she have a reason to feel a way about Shamia talking about her? Yes, she does. The problem is that Portia is passive aggressive in her stance, though, when it comes to addressing it. Shamia tells us there have been many times where the ladies have said disparaging things about Portia, and I shut it down. I don't know how many times, but there were times where she shut it down, and we do know that you condone Portia cheating on that, not cheating, stealing that lady's husband, in the words of Kelly. Shamia then tells us that she would like to, no, not us, Portia, that she would like to possibly salvage the friendship. And Portia says, possibly. I wish Shamia stuck to the word possible. But she kisses her tail and, changes it up. And you could tell that Portia is surprised by what she's hearing. Shamia says, like, I would like to, be friends with you. I'd like to save our friendship. Portia is not responding in a way that makes Shamia feel like she cares. Shamia then says, what really hurts is that you told me that your mother said not to trust me. Portia's looking at her and she's like, okay, my mom said that. And I personally think that her mother saying that has affected the way that she views Shamia. I do. Because if your mom, who you look up to, who you confide in, who you act like is your best friend, is telling you to watch someone by, nature, if my mom tells me something like that, I'm gonna do what I want to do, but I may kind of listen a little bit to the things that my mom told me. So, Shamia says, she asks Portia, why can't we be the way that we are off camera, on camera? And Portia said that they'll have to pay more money to do that. I want to know what we're missing. Why isn't the same energy being given at all times? Portia isn't trying to hear that. She then tells us that since they started filming, their communication has been strained. I don't get why it would be strained, because if you all are filming together, I would think that you would be even closer, because you would be trying to help your friend to make sure that she maintains her peach. You would be giving her ideas of scenes that she could possibly do with you and things of that nature. So it does come across like you don't really want to see her shine. And like the girl said, like you want to dim her light. So Portia tries to switch it up, saying, like I need, my friend. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, Portia, please. Shamia tells us Portia doesn't like the fact that she could tell her side now. And she's just hurt because Portia's sitting there like, I can't believe you're doing this for the show. I can't believe you're doing this for TV. And she's like, it's not about TV or the show. It's about our friendship. Portia can't take the heat, so she asks her to stop. She then gets up and walks away fake crying. It's the same reaction every time anybody confronts you on anything, Portia. You sit there and you get like to the point where you get teary eyed, and then because you do that, that's a way of you to deflect and change the topic. So she goes into the bathroom and she's like, "You're okay. You're okay. You're okay." What in the Candace Diller is going on here? Why do you people keep going to the bathroom and giving yourself pep talks? Are you going to put a post-it up on the mirror next? Like, I don't get it. So Portia comes back to the table and she's like, you ready to, I think you ready for it to go? Like, box, you haven't even ate your food. So Shamia's like, okay. Well, I hate the fact that you want to, get your food and go, and we have no resolve here. I guess I'll just pray about it. So Portia's like, well, you stopped talking, and she's like, no, I didn't. You got up and you walked away. So Portia's like, look, I'm human and I'm just overwhelmed. And Shamia says, yeah, we're all human and we're all overwhelmed. So as she's talking, she starts making noise with the silverware. You can tell Shamia's bothered again. So Portia's like, what can I do? So Shamia says, if I'm pouring my heart out to you, don't tell me to stop. I think that you need to do more than that. I think that Shamia wants Portia to care and actually see that her friend feels slighted, but Portia ain't capable of that. So you next thing you know, Portia like is extending her hands to her, and they're holding hands, and she's saying, I don't want to break up with you. And just like that, Shamia falls for it because they're hugging heart to heart. It's so whack. They agree to talk about things some more if they have any additional issues. Portia then tells us she's never begged so much in her life to stop an ambush. She wants to get to a better place and move on. So that's exactly what it was about. Stopping Shamia from continuing to say how she was feeling about things. And I'm going to say whatever it is that I got to say in order to get you to shut up. You guys, if there's something that I missed that you want to talk about, put it down below. Until next time.